Welcome to another episode of In the Kitchen with Chris. My name is Chris Thielman. I'm a professor at the College of DuPage. I teach culinary and pastry arts. And today we're going to make you a raspberry chocolate truffle. Now, raspberry chocolate truffles are relatively easy. Basically, you take cream and chocolate, you melt it together. If you want to add flavoring agents like we're going to today, we're going to add raspberry because we're making raspberry chocolate truffles, and a little bit of butter to add a little bit of creaminess and a little more oomph in the flavor, and also to soften up the interior of the truffle. If you didn't have butter or something similar inside of the truffle, the inside of the truffle would be very, very hard like a rock, and it wouldn't be very pleasant to eat. So this has got two distinct parts to make this recipe. The first part is to take your heavy cream, add it into a pot, just like this. Okay, so you don't have to be worried about boiling the heavy cream. It's not a problem. So then we're going to take our chocolate and we're going to turn the heat up so it's a little bit higher. And we're going to take our chocolate and we're going to throw it right in. We're going to take our raspberry filling, raspberry jam, raspberry preserve. Any of those will work just fine. Not a problem at all. Any kind of raspberry. I prefer seedless personally. So I would recommend seedless. And what you do is you stir and you get it all melted together. And as you can see, it's starting to melt. And then we're going to add our butter. Okay. And we're going to add our Chambord, which is a raspberry liqueur. If you want to add brandy, add brandy. If you don't want to add any liquor, don't add any. It's really up to you. And so we're going to stir this all together, and I'm going to wait a couple minutes until I add the liquor. So because it's so liquid, it has a tendency to not mix in well. So I'm going to wait until the very end to add that. I also don't want to evaporate it away, because when you evaporate alcohol, you lose some of the flavor very often. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just stirring and stirring and stirring, and this will only take a couple minutes. And you want to make sure you get everything good and melted together. And then we're going to put it in a pan, and then we're going to throw it in the refrigerator until it sets up, which will take about 20 to 30 minutes or so. So you can see I've got the heat on about medium or so, and I'm just stirring until everything is melted together. Only take just another minute or so, then we'll be all set. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit, make sure it's on low. Now that everything is good and melted together. Now I'm going to show you two ways to finish these truffles today. One is very, very simple, very easy. And the other way is just a slightly bit more complicated, but it adds a nice little nuance to the truffle, which I really like. So I'll show you two ways to finish them. And incidentally, you have to melt chocolate for the second way, and everyone loves to melt chocolate, so it's always a lot of fun. And the method with the melted chocolate, I recommend, if you can, have a friend help you, because as you'll see, I'll do it by myself. It'll be a little bit messy, but it'll be a lot easier if you have someone to help you. Everything is all melted together, and so now I'm going to add the liqueur and then stir it in. Okay. So now this is ready, and we're going to put it into the pan right here. Okay. All right. So get it all out of the pan. And as you can see, we have a small pan, not a very large one, because I'm going to scoop this with a little ice cream scoop after it chills up. So we're going to take this and we're going to put this in the refrigerator for about 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes right in there, depending on how hot you got it. And so all we want to do is get it set. And then we're going to scoop it. So be right back. Okay, it has been about 30 minutes and our truffle filling has chilled in the refrigerator. So what I've done is I've gotten a small ice cream scoop. So if you like smaller truffles, smaller scoop, larger truffles, larger scoop, your choice. So all you do is scrape lightly across the top. And you'll fill up the scoop, and then if it needs to be finished off so it looks perfect, just roll it in your hands just like this, and you'll have perfect looking truffles. Okay? So I would say the secret on this recipe is if this gets too cold, the filling, let it warm up just a little bit. Because if it's really, really cold, you're going to find that it's extremely hard to scoop, okay? So I let this, I took it out of the fridge. It was chilled, all set, but then I let it warm up for about 5 or 10 minutes at room temperature. And so now it is just barely scoopable, and you can see it's very easy to shape into a small round ball. Okay. Now, next part is, I'll do one more. Okay. I'm going to show you 2 ways to finish this. Okay. And as you can see, I've got gloves on because it's going to get a little messy. If you don't want to wear gloves, don't worry about it. All right. So there's 2 ways to do this. Number 1 is to take the truffle and we're going to throw it in cocoa powder, just like this. Okay. So we'll do half of them. So we'll do 4. Take a fork and just pick it up and turn it in the cocoa powder. Okay. Obviously, you can do this by hand without a problem. I'm just trying to be just a little bit neater since we're on camera. And you take this and then roll it off to the side. And now you've got a truffle that has been dusted in cocoa powder. Okay. So that's one way. You can also do this with powdered sugar. It'll work just great with powdered sugar too. I personally like the cocoa powder. It's a little more traditional, a little more French, if you will. Okay. Now here's the second way to do them, which is really cool. Take a little bit of chocolate. Any kind of melted chocolate you want. You want to use white chocolate, milk chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate. It doesn't matter, okay? And also, since we're talking about chocolate, the number that you see on the package, if it says 61, 72, 85, 57%, okay? What that is the percentage of cocoa mass. So the higher the number, the more bitter the chocolate. The lower the number, the less bitter the chocolate, because basically it's sugar and cocoa mass which is inside. So if that percentage is higher, that means there's less sugar, and if the percentage is lower, that means there's a little more sugar. So the bigger the number, the more bitter the chocolate, as a general rule. All right, so we've got some melted chocolate here, and this happens to be milk chocolate, and again, it can be milk or semi-sweet dark chocolate. It doesn't really matter. You're going to take one of the truffles, and you're going to put it in. Okay. So all I'm doing is taking a little bit of chocolate, as you can see, putting it on my glove. So there's a very slight coating of chocolate on the outside of the truffle. So as you can see, I'm making my hands really messy. So if you had someone that could help you with this, it would be very fast and very easy because one person could do one job and the other person could do the other job. So you take it, throw it in the chocolate. So there's a very thin coating on the outside. Okay. And you can see this is why I'm wearing gloves. And then put it in the chocolate, and then I'll take these off right away. Take a fork, and you're going to throw it in the cocoa powder before the chocolate sets. Okay, there we go. Now, take a couple forks, and again, it's a lot easier if you do this by hand. With the forks, it's a little cumbersome. So you're going to take these truffles, you're going to move them over. And what I recommend is put these in the refrigerator for 5 or 10 minutes. What will happen is the truffle chocolate will set, get rid of the excess cocoa powder, so there's a very thin dusting of cocoa powder, and then your finished truffles are ready to go. So I will take these, I'll put them in the fridge for just a couple of minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, we've let these chill in the refrigerator for just a couple of minutes, so the outside chocolate shell has set up. So as you can see, they look pretty much the same from the outside, but the difference is one is going to be soft all the way through, and the other one that we dipped and we rolled in the chocolate is going to have a very small, slight hard chocolate shell. So we'll add a little bit of texture and a little bit of interest to the truffle. Hope you enjoyed our raspberry chocolate truffle lesson today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.